With Restoration poetry's opposite trends will get the upper hand. I have mentioned the fact that imbalance was probably the key word to summarize Restoration comedy. With poetry, on the contrary, balance was restored, and the French models were fully adhered to. Poetry of the Restoration turns formal, intellectual, attached more to reality, for instance politics, than genuine feeling. The mysticism and metaphysical concerns of the previous period have gone. Lyricism from the heart wanes to the benefit of moderation, rules and order, like a French garden. Classicism, which was about to triumph in the next period, gradually acquires dominance. While political passion and hedonistic themes still reign, scientific reason is also on the rise. Never forget that Charles II founded the Royal Society, again after French models of state-sponsored academies, as early as November 1660, right after his restoration. We must again mention John Dryden, because he is definitely the most important poet of the age. He was therefore a great classicist, making his favorite heroic couplet the accepted measure of serious English poetry, the classic measure, we should say. This concept refers to a general attempt to return to the rules and canons of antiquity. Now, take some time to read the footnotes to get the proper definitions for those concepts of canon, or even the very idea of classicism. While the Renaissance had tried to revive classicism, the age of classicism now was trying to relive it, really live it, experience it, do it, make it concrete, make it the accepted standard. When Dryden published his extensive translation of the works of Virgil in 1697, the edition was entirely paid for by a national subscription. You see, this cultural trend was about to triumph. He was also a satirist, relentless in defending the king and lambasting his enemies, the Whigs, accusing them, among other things, of manipulating flare-ups of religious hysteria during the exclusion crisis of 1678-1681. Again, read the footnotes for the explanations. Such is the subject matter of his most famous satire, Absalom and Achitophel. Also the case with the medal. But he was very keen on settling scores with satire. For instance, in Macflecknoe, he attacked a former friend and fellow poet. He also sometimes used his poetry to defend religious positions. For instance, in The Hind and the Panther, he defended his conversion to Catholicism. To give you an idea of what it looks like, there is an excerpt here from Absalom and Achitophel. Achitophel, of course, is a name from the Bible, but same for Absalom, of course, but under the disguise of those biblical names, of course, he is referring to enemies of the king. Here it's Lord Shaftesbury. This is how he destroys Lord Shaftesbury. Of these, the false Achitophel was first, a name to all succeeding ages cursed, for close designs and crooked counsels fit, sagacious, bold, and turbulent of wit, restless, unfixed in principles and place, in power unpleased, impatient of disgrace, a fiery soul, which, working out its way, fretted the pygmy body to decay, and o'er-informed the tenement of clay. A daring pilot in extremity, pleased with the danger when the waves went high, he sought the storms, but for a calm unfit, would steer to nigh the sands to boast his wit. Great wits are sure to madness near allied, and thin partitions do their bounds divide. Else, why should he, with wealth and honour blest, refuse his age the needful hours of rest? Punish a body which he could not please, bankrupt of life, yet prodigal of ease, and all to leave What with his toil he won to that unfeathered two-legged thing, a son. You see that it's really nasty sometimes. It's really personal, pygmy body, because of course Shaftesbury was a fairly small man. He's also attacking his son as an unfeathered two-legged thing. Oh, and see, and no, got while his soul did huddled notions try, and born a shapeless lump like anarchy, in friendship false, implacable in hate, resolved to ruin or to rule the state. You see, he calls his son, he says his son was as shapeless as his own political projects, anarchy. Oh, this is really nasty. But the language, as I'm sure you've noticed, is ever so classical, regular, heroic couplets, running like music on a score, with every expected little syllable to be found where you expect it. This is the classical taste of Dryden, not without a certain violence nonetheless. Same thing with perhaps an even better satirist, which is Samuel Butler, who also demolished the Puritans in Hudibras, which is a mock epic in iambic tetrameters influenced by Rabelais and Cervantes. Hudibras is a sort of bumbling knight-errant of Puritanism. This is a famous passage from Canto 1, the first canto, in which you'll have a fair sample of Butler's talent. For his religion, it was fit to match his learning and his wit. 'Twas Presbyterian, true blue, for he was of that stubborn crew of errant saints, whom all men grant to be the true church militant, such as do build their faith upon the holy text of pike and gun, decide all controversies by infallible artillery. Well, you see the idea. Those Puritans pretend to be saints, they pretend to be men of God, but in fact they are men of violence, and they are totally intolerant of other people, and they impose their views with violence. Again, Butler, perhaps an even better satirist than Dryden. Okay, so much for poetry.